Hey guys, Moldran here, and soon I'm gonna be continuing my Hearthstone Arena guide series. But a lot of people are always saying, oh, why are you even making this? Hearthstone is a no-skill game, it's a card game, it's all RNG and so on. So what I really try to do is to figure out, okay, how much does like skill and RNG really factor in Hearthstone Arena? Now, all I'm gonna talk about today is about Arena and not the constructed aspect, which has a different perspective, but let's get started. So I made this list here where basically I was analyzing arena games, like in the more than 2000 games that I played. I was analyzing, okay, on average, like what different factors like influence the outcome. And it's probably not surprising to many of you, but 30% of the outcome or 30% of the result is the strength of the deck. So depending on if you have a good deck, you're gonna do much better in arena than if you have a bad deck. And this is like accounts for 30% of the outcome, which means it's pretty important. For example, if you draft a deck with 5 Fire Elementals, Bloodlust, and Stormforge and many other good Shaman cards, you're going to be much better than if you draft a Shaman deck with only crap like Nightblade or a Wisp. But the Wisp is not even that bad. Nah. And yeah, the next point on the list is the opponent's strength. And this is also very important because this is something you can't influence. You can't influence which opponents you face. And what I really realize is sometimes, even if I have a bad deck, but as long as I play against average opponents who are like either not super good or don't have like a super extremely good deck with 3 legendaries and 4 flame strikes, this makes a very big difference because, you know, sometimes you get that mage that like fireballs in the face 3 times just to follow it up or finish it off with a pyroblast once turn 8 comes in. What was always happened already was first 2 blizzards and then 4 consecutive flame strikes to always clear my entire board and cards. And there's just nothing you can do then, and so that the opponent's strength is also extremely important. Then next up on the list is the drafting order, and this is when you play a game, which cards do you get at which point of time. Like I was playing mage decks, for example, already with like 3 or 4 flame strikes, but I didn't get a single one until like 16 cards in the game, and ended up losing the game because I really need them to like clear the board and get back into the advantage. This is something again that I can't change, but it's very important. And so now, like all the people that are like hating on Hearthstone, saying it's no skill, so far like they probably have a good reason to think that. But because, for example, playing ability, it's like figuring out like good moves, seeing the good plays, only accounts for 10% in my opinion. And this is really not that much because I really don't think that like the good players or the winning players like play so much better. They like make big plays like that no one else knows about. The average player like would never figure this out. I don't think so. I think like just playing the cards in Hearthstone like doesn't take that much really, and I think if you play enough games or watch some streamers or guides, you'll eventually like be able to play the game almost with the maximum efficiency. But there are often like many different plays, and it's really hard to say which is the best because many ways lead to Rome and also many ways lead to victory in Hearthstone. There could be like 5 plays and one streamer decides, okay, I would do that, and another streamer decides, I would do that, but in the end both would win the game. Then 5%, which is still important, but not nearly as important as the other factors, is what I call a concentration or daily form. Now, concentration, by that I mean, for example, if I play Hearthstone 12 hours a day, usually in the last 2 or 3 hours my concentration drops and my win-loss ratio goes down. It's just a personal thing. Some people could maybe play 16 hours a day, some people can only play 2 hours a day before the concentration drops, but it's a general thing. If you do one activity like for a longer period of time, that you should take breaks and get back to the level. But that's just one thing. Same with daily form. It could be that you have a good day and you play really well, and it could also be that you have a bad day where like it could also be like something like that. Like you start off, you play well, but you get meshed against like mages with 4 flame strikes and 2 pyroblasts and whatever, and again, and then you get frustrated and this affects your play. It's the same for me. If I lose a few times in a row due to bad luck, or maybe me making an error, I usually get frustrated, and then like sometimes when I stream, like also the chat is like kind of like difficult to deal with, and then it affects my play and I play worse and worse. But yeah, that's overall only 5%. And again, 5% are like the advanced strategies that some people use or are really good at the game. For example, using emotes to get information. For example, often you can see people saying like, for example, a mage turn 6, my magic will tear you apart. My magic will tear you apart. And then this should be like a sign that either the mage is really, really good and actually using this to make you think that he has a flame strike, but in most cases it's like just an announcement, I have flame strike coming up, I will clear your board. And then you can be safe, I'm not gonna play any creatures now. It's the same when they do it at turn 7. Like I think in 90% I was always been right in like analyzing my opponent's cards and telling me what they have right now and what they're gonna do. Usually the next turn they play exactly what I expected them to play. And of course I'm prepared for it. Other advanced strategies are playing turns ahead. You have to like, sorry, 1 second. But yeah, sometimes you have to like plan for like a few turns ahead what your opponent is gonna do, what the next few rounds are gonna look like, and make your play, for example, turn 4, like but already taking into consideration what's gonna happen in turn 6. Another thing that I've on my list is like baiting out stuff, for example, baiting a flame stack, like playing a small creature to like get this flame stack done, and then you know, okay, now I'm safe to play other creatures. But again, this is only 5%. And now let's take a look at this. What are the factors that you can change, or what are the factors that you have no influence of, that are purely RNG? Now, strength of the deck is something you can change. What else can you change? You can change the playing ability. You can improve your own play. Concentration, daily form. You can probably change concentration, daily form as well if you like make sure, for example, that you don't like play more than what you're supposed to play, or just as much as you can fully concentrate. And advanced strategy is also something you can change, of course. So those are the factors that you have an influence with. And what you can't influence are first the opponent's strength and the drafting order. On the other hand, like strength of deck, I would say, again, as well as concentration, is something that you can't influence to some extent, because the strength of the deck largely depends on the choices that you can. So while you have some influence, you can make the best out of the 30 selections that you get. Not always you can get like the perfect cards. And sometimes you, even if you make always the right choice, you will still end up with a bad deck. So let's make this like average. Okay, so we have 50% where I can do absolutely nothing. Then I would say around 15 to 20% where, for example, strength deck, I would say 15% are what you can change and 50% are what you can't change. But overall, you see, there are a lot of things that matter. And with the strength deck, for example, let's say 15, then we have 10 here, is 25. So around 30% are things that you can change. And 70% are things you can't change. Okay, so all the people that say like Hearthstone takes no skill or is only luck, they're already wrong, because there are 30% that actually matters. And the thing is, now who are those people that say this game takes no skill or is a stupid card game? Those are either like people who never gave the game a shot, who are like saying, oh, I'm never gonna try this game, I'm not gonna play a fucking card game. Or those are people who like played the game, but actually ended up being bad at it, who couldn't like make enough gold in arena, or always like got the ice kicked or whatever. Now, this brings me to the realization that the people who are like not good at the game, like usually say bad stuff about it and bad mouth it, but because someone who's like good at the game, someone who's like making so much gold and like winning all the time, he would not say that the game takes no skill. And the thing is, now how much skill does the game actually take? Now I think in the short term, it's a lot of RNG. As you can see here, in the short term, there's only so much you can change. For example, in one game, it could be that you get so bad drafts and you're up against a really sick opponent with like the most awesome deck ever with like 3 or 4 legendaries in arena, and you simply have no chance. But in the long term, like if you play like say 1000 arena games over that long period, all that's going to matter is like your skill, because 70% of the things that no one can change or that you can't change, no one else can change. Those are the same for every player. Those are the same even for me. Even I have to deal with like those 4 legendary opponents and mages with flame stacks. Even I have to deal with like getting bad drafts. So for example, getting 3 or 4 or 5 drops in my opening hand. Even I have to deal with getting a bad deck because I only got bad selections. Even if I made right choices, I ended up having a bad deck because I simply couldn't choose anything good. There was no flame set, there was no fireball, nothing else, nothing to choose. And even I have to deal with concentration issues. So, and that's not just me, that's also Crip, Trump, pretty much every Hearthstone player out there. So those 70% are the same for all players. So what's going to be the deciding factor is those 30%. And you know, if you are a good player and if you really try to be good in arena and try to like watch streams, get all the knowledge you can, read websites, read Reddit, read guides, watch guides, then you're going to be like eventually a winning player who is going to be able to make so much gold in arena that you can get all the packs for free and never have to pay a single cent on the game and still end up with like having the full deck. It's going to take some time, but eventually you get there. And that's why I think it's important to like understand that it's not just luck, and I would say it's actually 80% skill, because the 70% are the same for everyone, but out of the 30%, like people have a huge influence on all of those things, whether it's the playing ability, concentration, deck building process, or advanced strategies. And that's just what I wanted to make clear now. So there is a point in like watching those guys or watching those streams. And Hearthstone, even though I don't see it or consider it as an esport, after I think a lot about it, I still think it's a game that requires skill and requires like a lot of knowledge and good decision making. So that was my analysis. Next video is going to be a guide again. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll be back.